Hello everyone. Today we decided to come for a day out to Birkenhead. We don't know Birkenhead very well and we got completely lost trying to find the market car park, even though I think that's it. That's the Pyramid Shopping Centre, House of Fraser, etc. We ended up in this place here, Kendall Street, and there's a little parking meter here. To be honest with you, I think for these cars probably haven't paid for the parking, but we have just in case to be safe. And you can use either the Just Park app or you can pay with your card. And this little wonky machine here sorts out your ticket for you, pay and display. Righto, so we're gonna walk off into town now, which as this is the pyramids, we pretty much, I'm assuming, can't be too far from the centre of town, because the pyramids is pretty much the centre of town. Like I say, don't really know Birkenhead very well at all. I've been here a few times in my life, but not a great deal. I've been to Liverpool a lot more than I have been to Birkenhead. It's a Birkenhead school board building across the way there. Looks like that's been a grand place in its time. University of Chester across the way. And just on the car park there's a pub, the Fireman's Arms. Conway Street car park. Ah, right, okay. This is one of the car parks we were looking for but couldn't find. So it's just basically round the corner from where we were, but nonetheless we've got somewhere to park now, and we're pretty much right in the centre of town anyway. They cost, I think it was £4 for about 4 hours, but after 6:30 at night it's free anyway. So if you're turning up for the evening, it doesn't cost you anything. The Higher Elementary School this place is, and I can't read the date over there. I'm not quite sure what that says. It just looks like a garbled mess. I bet if you Google it though, it'll tell you. Oh look, there's the boys' entrance there. Just where that girl is. There. And then just further down is the girl. Oh, it's the boys' entrance again. Well, where do the girls go in then? Unless it was just a boys' school, perhaps, I don't know. Here we are now at the Birkenhead bus station. Do you know much about Birkenhead, love? No. It's like a voyage of discovery then, isn't it? I know they've got quite a lot of cheap shops and charity shops and things like that here. Because we called in probably about 6 months or so ago. I mean, today is Sunday, so okay, the market's down there apparently. But with it being Sunday, you're probably going to find that quite a lot of the places are closed, but some places are open. wall of goodies there. Last time I came here there was a place in one of these shuttered up buildings, I think, where they were selling meat, cooked meat, you know, like roast chickens, rotisserie and all that, just on the street side. But I think that may have been a weekday, so it's possible that it's shut today. Cash converters. And a wimpy bar. Don't see them much these days. Mackey's and Burger King, but not many wimpies. Yeah, there's the market across the way. Gentleman feeding the pigeons. Some old buildings, some grand old looking places hidden in the back areas here, behind this modern front. Pound World closed down now. Have all the Pound Worlds closed down? Is that the one that bit the dust?
I think so.
One of the pound places is gone. And that looks like a good shop. Games, movies, music, models, sci-fi, horror, anime. Might have to have a sniff around there later. Oh, here we go. This is the place that I was talking about. Selling loads of chicken and what have you, meat. Phone store. Bikeman shoe shop. CEX. Uh-oh, shoe shop. Where is it you want to go anyway, look? Do you want to go to the pyramid place?
This is the pyramids.
Oh, is it?
All of it is.
Oh, I thought it was like an indoor thing.
Well, that's indoors. You can go indoors if you want. Go indoors and come out of the room.
TJ uses.
About 3 the shops that I want to go to, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you go around, you mean. You probably walk from the docks, probably. Around some of the old buildings and that way.
Now, by the time Anne-Marie's been to her shops, all the other shops will be shut.
Go anywhere.
Well, there's Pound Land, so Pound World perhaps is the one that's shut.
That's like the closing that one.
Yeah.
In Poundland.
Yours, never heard of it. Looks like a new lucky type place. Greg's Pasties, Cafe Nero. Oh. Oh dear, and we're off. Right, while Anne-Marie's having a look at the clothes, I'll just pause this. Just as a little note, this shop that Anne-Marie's gone in, the minimum size they do in there for ladies is 16. And they go up to size 30, 32. So, if you need some clothing and you're on the larger end of the scale, then this is your place. Just thought I'd stick that in as a note. Okay. Let's go and have a sniff in the Pyramids shopping centre. Which is the way in, love?
Well, you can go in that way if you want to go in, or you can go round the street and go in the other way.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, well, go round, have a look at the other shops on the way. Max Spielman, photos. Game, they've still got a game here. They seem to be a dwindling store. Seem to be vanishing most places. Rural Hospice St John's. Very worthy charity, that. I repair their equipment. Cat's protection. How old is your cat in human years? A 1-year-old cat is 15 years old in human years. Really? Good Lord. And there's your equivalents, look. Well, my cat passed away when he was 16, so he was 80. Oh, good grief. He was a good old cat as well. His name was Jess. And he was black and white. The Garrick Snug pub. One Beyond, never heard of that place either. Looks like a cool trader type place. JD Sports. thought that said Wetherspoons, Waterstones. It was the cafe bit on the end. Big old looking place. Are we not going in there, love?
Yeah, you can go in there a bit.
Won't it be shut in now?
Not yet.
It's like 3:30. Oh, I see. I get you. Primarni.
Probably won't be much in there because it's only small.
Primarni. We got loads of cheap stuff in here.
Yeah. But it's not as big as like that purple bird's nest, but they're quite fine and purple bar. Nice to go with it, isn't it?
Right. I'm going to call it quits there for a bit. I'm sure you've all seen Primark before. Okay, Anne-Marie's had a Primark fix. I always find it fascinating on the top of these buildings. It's like that gargoyles or something up there. Anyway, nonetheless, this Pyramids is going to be closing soon, so let's dive in and have a bit of a look round. Well, I tell a lie, it says 5 o'clock on the door. I thought it was 4 o'clock, so we might have a little bit longer than I thought, to be honest. Looks very similar to the entrance to Chester's Market. Got a few similar shops and what have you. I don't know if there's some kind of a deal with these places, but Muffin Break, another shop I've never heard of. Looks like a Starbucksy type place. Food court type area. Subway, Burger King, chopsticks and a traditional fish and chips. Card shop. Tessuti. I always thought Tessuti were gentlemen's suits. That's what I thought it was anyway. Some place called Select. Nightwear for the ladies. As in when they're going out. Were you considering getting your brows done, dear?
They look a mess.
No, they don't. They're fine. Shall I get mine done?
Yeah.
Hang on. How do I do this? Oh, I can't get it to spin round. There we go. Do you reckon? How's them brows looking? Terrible. Oh no, not more women's clothes. Where's she bringing me now? What's this place? Love it, it's yours. Let's have a look. It is River Island. Oh, okay. One of the traditional phone unlocking stores and what have you. I think we're nearing the end of the place there. I thought it was a bit bigger than this. Is that it, love? Is that the full building?
Yeah.
There's no more upstairs or downstairs or anything?
No.
Oh, crikey. That was a lot smaller than I thought. Right, as we're in another clothes shop, I'll pause for now. Rightio, we're coming from River Island now.
Down this way then, yeah?
And this,
Down the escalator.
okay, this is the way out of the internal bit. I didn't realise Anne-Marie was saying that the Pyramids isn't just this place, it's the entire shopping complex, all the outdoor shops and everything. It's classed as the Pyramids. So I thought this was a little bit small. Nice smells coming from in there. Not surprising, eh? Bobby horses. One ride £1. 3 wides £2. And if you're not from the UK, then £1 is what we call a pound, bit of slang. Not like $1's a buck, £1's £1. It's an Alfa Romeo Spider, that, isn't it? Or is it a Bugatti Veyron? Oh, I'm not sure. It's a plastic toy, really. Pigeons.
Gardens as well for a bucket or B&M for a bucket thing for your garden.
B&M.
So that'd be close shop, isn't it?
Yeah.
No West Come now.
Not much use for me.
Yeah,
Well, you never know.
Is it called Bad Rhino?
Yeah, Bad Rhino. Yeah, apparently there's a men's version called Bad Rhino in Liverpool. Poundland.
Remember,
Right, we're going back on ourselves now, so
I'm going to go in Poundland.
I'll,
Catch is there. I'm going
yeah.
to catch there.
Poundland might have some gardening stuff. But as we're going back on ourselves, I'm going to shut this down now. Okay, we've come away from the main drag and down the back. The wind is starting to get up now a little bit, so I'm going to get a bit of wind noise on here.
Oh, very sketchy. Turn right onto Grange Road.
Well, that says the Grange on that sign.
Where?
Just ahead there is a glass.
Oh, so we're going through there then.
I don't know.
How come
We're following Google Maps.
Thinking of like Monkey because there's a bus station there.
Well, it's a route you won't normally see unless you go to the market. And unfortunately the market's shut today. Yeah. There was a gentleman over there feeding the pigeons. Now the pigeons are feeding themselves. There's the wimpy that we passed. I don't know, hold steady. What does Google Maps say?
What did you read?
St. Werburgh's. Not sure what that building used to be across the way, but it looks pretty derelict. The roof's caved in and... Oh, there you go. It was the Central Hotel, but I don't think it's been the Central Hotel for quite a number of years by the look of it. I think Google Maps has taken us down the more dilapidated side. I'm not sure which way it is, but Liverpool is just across the water and the River Mersey is around here somewhere. I don't know if it's ahead there or if it's over that way. I think it might be over that way, but I'm just guessing because I'm not looking at a map at the moment, so it's like a wild stab in the dark. Right, so this is pretty much where we started. Anne-Marie's car's parked over there. There's that pub that we passed earlier, the Fireman's Arms. We could see it from the back end. I think Birkenhead's had grander times looking at some of the architecture here. Hopefully those times will come back for the place. Yeah, I think that is the tunnel entry, is it? I think. Only guessing. If so, the River Mersey must be over that way somewhere. We're following directions off the map to get us to Wetherspoons. Right, a few car parks around. Europa Square, is that? 150 parking spaces. Clawton Road, 694. 495 at the Grange, so there's a fair few spaces. I think in the week and at the weekend on a Saturday it's a little bit more busy and a little bit more open. We've come on the quiet day really, everywhere's closed. But still, it's a nice day and it's a walk for me because I do need to get my walking back up. Even today, you haven't noticed, but when I've stopped the camera I've been finding places to sit down for ages. Just to get my strength back. These old streets, Cork Hills furniture. Remember Cork Hill off Brookside? Jimmy Corkhill and his dog Cracker. That was a TV show in the UK, set in Liverpool. Kebab shop. Look at that tradition there, shaving the kebab off there. Oh. There he goes, look. Someone's having a doner delivered. Birkenhead Market, part of Wirral life for more than 100 years. Yeah, I suppose it is. The Wirral really here. I always think of Birkenhead being pretty much Liverpool, but obviously it isn't. Separated by a very big river. Again, a little bit more dilapidated down this end. You could get some great photos around here though, because there's such a lot of old buildings around, and even the smashed windows and things like that. Alright, they don't look that great, but they make for good photos. And the guide has got us to Wetherspoons. Well, I can go for another sit down. Don't get COVID, folks. Okay, we've been to the Brass Balance, otherwise known as Wetherspoons.
Food was alright, it's just the place in general. It is Wetherspoons.
The food was okay.
Sitting outside wasn't the best, it was alright.
No, the beer garden bit was a little bit dingy, but it was alright though. The staff were smashing and the food was nice, so.
No, if you don't smoke, then well.
Stay in.
If you do smoke, it's alright. I don't smoke too.
No.
There we go. That's food, maybe. Let's have a look later.
Another car park here, Argyle Street. The rest did me good, to be honest. I'm starting to wane a little bit. £3 for up to 12 hours here. Bargain. And it's pretty much slap bang in town, so you have to remember that one, Argyle Street, if you want somewhere to park that's quite cheap. What did you say, love? Sorry. Hamilton Square's near here. Like I say, it's a little bit tired. Yeah, it's a little bit tired this end. Could do with like a little bit of a spruce, couldn't it? But it's alright though. And we're heading back now towards the car. Probably best if we cross over because car's over that side, isn't it? Yeah. Taxi stand across the way. And there's that Corkhill's Furniture. Corkhill and Jobs, is it? Furniture storage. It's an old place. There's a little coffee bar or something there. Yeah, cappuccinos and what have you. Animated music walk in Birkenhead.
That's quite cool.
Future Yard. There's a cashless venue. Not sure what that's all about. And this is Argyle Street. Ties in with the car park. I wasn't going to bother filming this way because it's pretty much going back the way we come, but the old Mercedes, is it a 190 or something, or 300? I think it's too big for the 190, isn't it, though? I think it was a 300D, was it, or something? What's that?
Is that the warship over there or not?
No, I think that's Camel Aird. That building in the background across the way there.
In the middle there, like a boat.
In the middle.
Down the trees. That's docks down there.
Trying. In the trees, I honestly can't see it, love. Oh right, okay, hang on. Go back. I see where you mean now. There, yeah, that is a boat. Just try and zoom on it a little. The grey, roughly in the centre of the picture now. There's a lady walking right by it now, but right in the background. They do have warships and things in for repairs and what have you, I think. But Camel Air Shipyard is a big, well-known shipbuilding company and repairs company and what have you. What I was trying to get was that hill. I thought it looked quite good as we were walking towards it, but can't really see it from here very well. One of the buildings across the way there is 1907. So 1907's a period when there must have been a fair bit of money here. The old post office hotel across the way there. You can see it written on the roof. Trying to get this pointing up a little more. There we go, that's better. When we first come in, there was a school. It just had boys' entrances, and that's just on the right hand side across the way. Now, that building there's got post office buildings written on it. There. And the one across the way was the old post office old post office hotel. So I'm assuming at some point that's been a proper post office. A lot of old buildings here as well. No, it's fine. We did go that way before. Yeah. That's the way we come down. Nice to see a bit of greenery in town as well. I know nothing about gardens because I've got a yard that looks pretty much like that. So I've got no gardening skill whatsoever, not even in the slightest. Anything I touch turns to dead. So I'd like to try, if I can, to get the place a little tiny bit more green. Seagull. What's in there, lad? Something tasty. He's found something delicious in them bins. When we went to Wetherspoons, I grabbed some bread off the table, so Anne-Marie's taking me now to some place that I've never been to before, some park. What's it called, love? Easton Park. Never been there in my life, so she said there's a pond. Right, I'm going to shut this off because the music will set off all kinds of copyright problems. We've had a bit of a change of plan. After a bit of chaotic driving far more miles than you needed to get about 20 centimetres.
You can still go to Easton Park after this. We're down the docks down there anyway.
Yeah, we've managed to come to the Dockside on Birkenhead end. If you've been watching this channel for quite some time, you will recognise this. But the last time we were here, it was about 11 o'clock at night. I think that these are tunnel vents for the old tunnel. But I just noticed as we were going along that the Mersey ferry is chugging around. I just spotted it a moment ago. It's going to get quite windy by the river, so you might not be able to hear me quite as well.
Take out the wind noise.
Yeah, you can take out the wind noise if you know how to do it. I don't, or at least not very well. There you go. There's one of the Mersey ferries. That's done out in World War I colours. I can't remember what the purpose of those mad colours were. It was something to do with cheesing off the German warships or something. It made it more difficult to hit. I'm not sure how, but there was some kind of reasoning behind it, like so. But then if we zoom out a little, here's your Liverpool waterfront. It's quite a distance off on this little camera, so let's zoom in a bit. So there, just in the centre of the screen now, you've got the Liverpool Cathedral. Now I think that's the Church of England Cathedral, because the Catholic Cathedral is locally known as Paddy's Wigwam, and it's just behind the Albert Dock, and the Albert Dock is roughly straight ahead now, the old brown Victorian warehouse building, and you can see in the background an unusual looking cone shaped thing with a circular top, and that's Paddy's Wigwam, or the Catholic Cathedral. And then a little bit further on again, you've got the Radio City Tower. Now I believe that used to spin round. I don't think it went up and down.
No, I don't think it did spin around.
I think did it not?
No.
I've heard that it did, but maybe I'm wrong. It might be the BT Tower in London that I'm getting mixed up with.
That does spin around, yeah.
And if you come out by, is it St John's Precinct? That's right by that tower.
Yeah.
So that tower's,
definitely.
yeah, that tower's pretty much slap bang in the middle of the shopping district. Then you've got the Tate Gallery, unusual shaped building. And
That's
then,
not the Tate Gallery.
well, the Museum of Liverpool, the Tate Gallery is
In the brown buildings over there.
in the brown ones, is it? Oh, there we go. Look, Anne-Marie's a better guide than me. Come on, love. You can explain now what all the other buildings are.
They're museums,
Yeah.
but the Tate Gallery is in the brown buildings in the Albert Dock.
Okay, so what's that unusual
That's the,
shape one?
The Liverpool Museum.
Now, it's weird that I would have thought that something like the Tate Gallery would have been a little bit wacky.
No. Because see the big square, that's like the window.
Yeah,
Me and you have looked out of that window.
right, I see. So that's just the standard Museum of
Got
Liverpool
things in
then.
it like Ken Dodd and Stella Black and things to do with Liverpool
go,
and
see,
all
it's-
that kind of stuff.
It's always worth having someone with you who knows the crack.
And only because I've been in there enough times
Yeah.
with you.
So what's the rest of them then, before I keep telling people incorrect information? I know we've got the
Library
three.
buildings.
I know we've got the three Graces. Now, one's the Cunard building, one's the, what was the other one? One's the Liver building, and what's the other one? Do you know what? I can't remember anymore. I used to know them.
Some of the
Pre-COVID, I knew them all.
hotels are there too now. You've got the Titanic Hotel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Titanic Hotel's up the side of the road. You can't really see it.
It's not really Titanic, really. It's just part of the Cunard building, isn't it, really?
The Port of Liverpool building, I think it was, the other one. I think that's how it worked. But I can't remember which one's which. I know that the Liver building's obviously the one with the Liver birds on top. But one of those is the Cunard building and one of them's the Port of Liverpool building. Which one's which, I'm not sure, but you can leave them in the comments.
This one's what?
Those in the know can leave it in the comments which one of those is the Port of Liverpool building and which one's the Cunard building. I think the Cunard building might be the square one in the middle, and the Port of Liverpool building, the big fancy looking thing with the dome, looks a bit like a mini St Paul's. But I'm not sure. I know that the Liver building is obviously the one with the Liver birds on. That's quite simple. And then as you move along, unfortunately blocked today by this rather large.
You've also got the theatre
Stena line.
over there too, haven't you? The arena where we went to see Mrs. Brown. That's on the side of there too.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because this large Stena line vessel's in the way, you can't see some of the newer buildings.
I think it's that blue building, not the see where the big wheel is?
Yeah.
That's the arena there where you go see all the shows.
Okay. So that is roughly in front of the church. Now I think that the ferry is making a move. I'm not sure if it's just manoeuvring around by the dockside or if it's actually making its way off. I think it might be heading off. I think it's heading off.
I don't know what time it stops, see?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't profess to know all about
The other side of that
this place,
thing.
but that's why it's handy to have others with you.
Shame there isn't a bridge that goes one side to the other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there are two tunnels that you can go through.
Oh yeah, but
Take
you know,
about 5 minutes,
even
so
if
it's
it
not
was like
bad.
a footbridge.
Yeah. The only problem is you'd have to have footbridges that allow you to get past things like that, and that's quite a big ship. So it'd have to be quite a high footbridge.
Well, that takes you. Is it the Isle of Man?
Perhaps that high.
Is it the Isle of Man?
Yes, I think it is. Yeah.
No, it's got connecting Europe on it, but I don't know whether it does go France though. I think you have to
No,
go
it's-
to like the Dover to get to France, and
Yeah,
then
it's the
all the
Isle
way
of Man ferry, as far as
anyway.
I'm aware. And there she goes. There was another ferry here when we arrived, but we had to faff around with the car park machine, and that one's scarpered. The ferry terminal is just in front of the Liver building. You can kind of see a small ramp going down into the floor, so to speak. It's nice to get a bit of a view of the river in the day. Yeah, they've all got high vis on, so I'm assuming they're staff. Unless the passengers all have to wear high vis now for safety. Wouldn't surprise me. Hello, Mr. Seagull. Oh, you can hear the chimes. I don't know if the Pocket 2 microphone will have picked that up, but just heard the chimes on the Liver building going off on the clock. Now I have got some bread with me that I was going to throw to the ducks in the pond at Easton, but if we're not going there I might throw it to the seagulls. What do you think?
You can still go there.
Yeah, there's a few hungry pigeons knocking round too.
There's more dock type stuff.
Should we walk down and have a little look at the...
Yeah, there's dock type down there, so.
Just a little look at the waterfront, so to speak.
I think people used to say if you went down Eastham you can hear Creamfields. Don't know how true that is.
Creamfields.
Yeah, go down Eastham you can hear the music from Creamfields. You know, from across the water.
Yeah.
I don't know what boats there will be down there because it's a dock, so.
Pigeons are getting a bit scared of us walking past. We have actually been here when that ferry was making its way off, and again it was a bit of a rush at the time because it was heading off as we arrived really, but I did film it. It's on a video of mine. I can't remember the title of it, but it's the Dockside video, and it's at night time, and I think that the icon is that building ahead. HMS Thetis. A plaque is erected in memory of the men who tragically lost their lives in the submarine HMS Thetis, Group 1 T-class submarine built at Camel Airs, which sank on sea trials in Liverpool Bay, 1st of June 1939. Goodness me. Had war started at that point? I can't remember when the Second World War started. It was 39, but I can't remember when Chamberlain came back with, if Hitler does not remove his troops from Poland, a state of war will be declared between us or whatever. Something like that, wasn't it? This is the ferry terminal building. We were just going to park up here, and it's free parking after 6:30, but we got there and it was like 13 minutes past 6, so we had to faff around trying to find another way to get to this place where we parked up now, and it was free parking after 6:30, and we got there like 21 minutes past 6, so I just went stuff it and paid for an hour's parking. But this is the ferry terminal. One of the stations in Birkenhead is Hamilton Square. And you can just about see the tower that's attached to said station through the bars. Yeah, they're different things though. It's that I was talking about.
There'll be ventilation towers for the tunnels, won't they?
Yeah, the ventilation towers are there.
Because I think
And they're in line pretty much with this one.
After Birkenhead, you're straight in the tunnel then.
Yeah.
Hamilton Square is underground, I think. Goes round in a circle
Yeah.
and then back out again.
I think there were gas lamps still remaining around here. I'm sure I've seen one. It might be back towards the car. But I think there were still some remaining, obviously not in use now. So now we've got electric light. We're that advanced now over here. A couple of old life buoys. Now that looks like something you'd find out at sea, doesn't it? That's a big old life buoy, that. I don't think you can get anywhere that way, apart from a tiny lighthouse.
Unless you can go down. Lodge.
Yeah.
Oh, easy and lodge.
I don't know. Lodges. Yeah, so the planned visit to Eastern Park may not occur now because it's getting dark already. Well, we could go again though. Not quite sure what these places are, but they look like eateries. I'm assuming that during the daytime these are open and you can get a pint or a burger or something. It smells very burgery, doesn't it? It smells foodie.
Oh, the market stall.
Oh yeah, next market Sunday the 14th and 15th. Saturday the 14th and Sunday the 15th, sorry. Now across the way there, behind that glass, is a submarine. And you can go on tours of said submarine. This is where we were parked a minute ago. Yeah.
There's a gift shop. And you go through and you get whatever off on that.
Yeah, can do, yeah. I've never been in here, so
Smells nice.
it smells like candy floss or something. Oh, there's toilets in here. And cafes. Scooby's Cafe. And then upstairs is a bar. That's alright, isn't it? I'm going to get loads of what do you call them? Copyright strikes for Bob Marley. These old seats look nice, don't they? Right, I'm going to go out because I'm just going to have to try and eliminate loads of music otherwise. It drives me nuts. Mainly because I don't know how to do it properly. Here's the U-boat. Not sure what era it's from. I don't know if it's First World War. Big Heath Robinson looking contraption, isn't it?
This would be a good walk, come along here, go in there, get some food and then go from.
I come out because it's playing music quite loud and I'll have to faff around trying to get rid of it, so. Otherwise YouTube gets a bit shirty. Oh, here we go, look, you can see bits of this. Bits of this U-boat. I don't know if there's two there or what. I've never been on the U-boat tour, so I'm not sure, but there's a... I don't know if that's a mock-up of an ancient thing across the way there. That's got a signpost saying Wirral Circular Trail. So whether this is a cycle path and a walk you can go on. Parking conditions apply. See, we were going to park here, but then there was a signpost saying we will slice your legs off if you park here or something. Parking's at your own risk, £100 parking charge. This land is private property, etc, etc, etc. So we did one, but then it's got this here. See, that wasn't round the corner, so it just had the... Yeah, we just had the "we will kill you if you park here" thing. So we decided to clear off. But if they had a signpost saying "you can pay though," then we would have probably parked here. Probably had a little bit more of the sunlight and what have you, but it's not too bad. Oh, there's our ferry chugging away merrily across the way there. This must be the little walk, and you can jump on the telescope if you want. The telescope is 20p. You got 20p, love you have a go on the telescope.
Over there down the bottom, keep on going, and that's where Eastham is, and this is the river that you see.
Look this down a little bit. Quite difficult to see on the tiny little screen on the Pocket 2 because it's only as big as a thumbnail, and it's starting to get a little bit dim. I always quite like it down by the river here though. I do love it.
A bit cold, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit cold, but just, I don't know. Quite a pleasant place, especially when it's peaceful and quiet like now. Perhaps not so much when it's absolutely heaving. If they've got some kind of an event on. I have been here in the past when the three Queens came many years ago. You had the Queen Mary 2, was it? Queen Victoria. What was the other one? I can't remember the other one. Queen Victoria was a massive, great thing. I came even further back and I came to see the QE2 before she was retired and sent off to Dubai, was it, or somewhere? They're impressive sizes though, because I mean that waterfront's quite big, but when you've got those huge Cunard ships in the middle of the water, they are big. The QE2 was a very pretty ship though. Queen Victoria and that are more of a cruise ship painted in Cunard colours, you know, but the QE2 was very pretty. It was from a different era, wasn't it, I think it was a 60s cruiser, and it was gorgeous, to be fair. Most of them these days are like a block of flats on the side with a funnel on the top. Oh, there goes our ferry. I'm not sure where it beds down for the night, whether it beds down over this side. I think it does, doesn't it? I think. Or if it beds down on Liverpool side, I'm not sure. I think it beds down over this side. Should we go for a little bit of a walk down here? I've never been down this far, so it'll be interesting to see what you can see. There is a little further on down here, there is the Camelhead workshop, which I mentioned earlier on. You might be able to see it down around the corner here. They're working on some great big walloping warship of some kind. The one thing I would really warn you about here is if you're trying to get to this area, do watch out if you're in the car, because every single road seems to chuck you onto the Birkenhead tunnel road. You can, if you go, oh no, I'm heading up the wrong way, there are little turn-offs where you can escape or spin round and go back, so you don't have to go through the tunnel. But we ended up going along the tunnel road and had to turn back on ourselves earlier, so do watch out. It is easy to do, and it is a bit of a nuisance to get yourself out of the pickle, but it's not impossible to escape from it, so don't panic too much, but just keep an eye out for that if you do come this way. I'm assuming it's the height of the water, this, and it must be around about 22, 21, 20, about 19 feet, is that? Or is it meters? Is that a meter? Oh, I don't know. I'm flipping hopeless with heights. Looks a little bit more than 5 foot, 5 of those squares, to be honest, so I think it might be a metre. So it'll be about 19 metres then. Unless it's fathoms. I don't know what fathoms are. I've heard of them, but I don't know what they are. What's a fathom, love? Do you know what a fathom is? Right. We can spin round in a sec, love, because I can see you're freezing to death now. But the ship is just ahead there. I don't know if you can see the grey building further on, but that's Camelhead, and the ship's in front of it. You can possibly see a load of little round grey globes, but you can't really see it all that grand. And I think that the chimneys and old cooling towers and what have you ahead. I think, don't quote me, but I think that they are Stanlow oil refinery, I think. There's usually a flame lit that you can see at night, which would give it away. I think it's Stanlow. I get it mixed up with the other one. What's the other one called? Oh, Capenhurst. That's the other one. Anne-Marie's wondering what I just crunched. It's a shell off a crab. There's no crab in it though. He's been scoffed by the pigeons, I think, or the seagulls even. Yeah, that heads off to Birkenhead Priory. I'm assuming that's hidden in the woods across the way there or something. Alright, look, you want to go back?
Don't mind.
You're looking a little bit chilly there and you've got a bit of a walk to go back, yeah?
It's up to you. You can carry on if you want.
No, it's okay. It's alright.
I don't mind. Probably going to be windy in it, eh?
Probably bored everyone to tears by now anyway.
I'll take you somewhere else.
There's your take us home. 6:45.
Early yet. You can go down to the other docks.
I can hear some chat. I don't know what it is. Anne-Marie's freezing to death and I'm in a short sleeve shirt.
And you've got trousers on, I've got no trousers on. Well, we can come again. It'd be nice to have some treat in that place. Plenty of seats to sit on if you get tired on the journey, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah.
Where?
There's some round the corner
Is there?
and there's some down here too. There's definitely seats to sit on.
I don't know if that chat over the speaker then was the ferry here, or if it was the large ferry. But last time we come, the ferry didn't leave until ridiculous o'clock at night. It was something like 11:30 at night or something. So I'm not sure if it's just this ferry terminal. You can see the U-boat there, can't you? U534. It's got written on the entryway into the museum. U534. Bit of a better view from this side actually. You can see it a lot better. Let's get a bit of a zoom on that.
There's some balloon there, or is it, isn't it?
Yeah, old German U-boat. Submarine U-boat. It's got a few panels missing. Interesting. There we go. So I managed to get a bit of Birkenhead docks as well.
You get more docks when we go down there.
Sounds like there's a pigeon's roost in there.
There's quite a few of them, aren't there? Have to dry for them to fish.
Don't know for how long though, looking at that sky. Starting to feel like it's going to rain now.
It didn't give rain, but you know what the weatherman says.
Yeah.
Like Michael Fish. Everything's going to be grand. Along comes the storm. Innit? Remember?
Yeah, 1987.
The said there was no storm, everything's going to be fine. He lied.
Well, I don't think he lied, he probably just didn't know.
Well, they're supposed to be, aren't they?
There we go. The pigeons are making it their home, look. Look at that propeller. There we go, a bit better there. The windows could do with a clean. I'm assuming they've put this protective stuff up so that people don't get a freebie view. They have to pay to go and have a look. I don't blame them. Probably wasn't cheap moving a U-boat here and looking after it for years. Well, I don't know about looking after it by the look of things, but keeping it here for so many years anyway. There's the ferry terminal again. I wonder if this has changed a lot in time. Because that little clock tower at the top there looks like it's quite old. As in very old. And the building itself does look quite old. I mean, these things at the front, food with a view, etc., I think they're quite new, but the rest of it looks like it's been around for quite some time. Back when Jerry and the Pacemakers was playing his tune. I think that the ferry is heading over from the Liver building back over here again now. I don't know whether that means it's parking up for the night or if it's carrying on a bit longer. I could see it making a move from the ferry terminal over at the Liver building, and it's coming over this way now. Like I say, I'm not sure if that's its final journey or if it carries on throughout the night. I really don't know. Climb up on top here and have a look. There's an aeroplane flying as well through the sky. Fair play, I'm doing quite well. I'm starting to flag a lot now. They must have Home and Bargains in Jersey. Or was it the Isle of Man? Sorry, not Jersey.
Yeah. Unless it's gone to Ireland.
Yeah, I think it's the Isle of Man from here.
You can go to Ireland as well from Liverpool, can't you?
Yeah. I think if you look on Google Maps, it'll give you a route to the ferry routes. Fairly sure it shows you on there. I'm not quite sure where the normal ferry is. I did see one earlier, but I think it's cleared off. Perhaps that bed's down in an alternative place for the evening or something. This one's called Snowdrop. The famous one that was always up and down the River Mersey in the 60s was the Royal Iris. That one was a famous Liverpool ferry boat. can actually see some of the more modern buildings as well over there now, because we've moved a bit further away from the ship. You can actually see them. More modern high-rise type buildings. Dazzle ships, that's it. Dazzle ships, that's what it was. The colour scheme, I couldn't remember. And Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, 1980s band, did an album called Dazzle Ships. And they were from Liverpool, so maybe this old girl was knocking around then, I don't know. I don't recall it when I was younger, do you? I don't recall seeing this. I remember seeing the proper ferry colours, but I don't recall this one. But maybe it was a knocking around, I don't know. We'll have to go for a little route, a little ride on the ferry. We haven't been on the ferry. Not for a long time. Last time I went on the Liverpool ferry was probably about, goodness me, 1983, 84, something like that. It was years ago. There she goes, parking up for either another run or for the evening, I'm not sure. Okay, see you later, old ferry. Crikey, there's a heck of a lot of Home and Bargains lorries coming off of that ferry boat. Not quite sure how wide the Mersey is at this point. It's about a mile, is it? Half a mile? How far do you reckon it is? Love that. It's about half a mile maybe? I don't think it's very far, but looks can be deceiving. Yeah, so you have to find out which one it is out of those rascals. I think that the square building is the Cunard building, because I think, was that the White Star Line building at one point and got took over by Cunard or something? One's the Port of Liverpool and one is the Liver building. And the Liver building's definitely the one on the left, but the other two, I can't say for sure. It's a nice peaceful evening walk though. Now it's Sunday, it's about 7:30, something like that, is it?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. As you can see, it's quite peaceful. What you find late on at night here, this area especially, you get quite a lot of sea fishermen right along this fence doing sea fishing. It's usually very late though, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, quite late on. And then you've got this big sort of Art Deco style, huge tunnel ventilation system. Where to now, dear? Are we going back to the car or?
It's up to you.
I don't think there was a lot up there, was there? I don't think.
No.
Here we go. There's a bit of information though on the ventilation tower here. The striking Art Deco ventilation tower dominates the skyline of the left bank. It ties together Birkenhead's built environment and transport infrastructure, as well as having a technical function. It's a significant landmark and echoes a period of town planning and design filled with ambition. The 1920s is an important chapter in Birkenhead's identity, when even the most functional space is infused with design credentials. Lead singer and co-founder of OMD, look, I mentioned those earlier. Wirral born and bred, McCluskey bought his first base from Birkenhead Park selling services 45 years ago. This is him coming full circle. In July he began his research at the ventilation tower, standing next to the tower doors and recording the sound of the wind whistling through them. These recordings are inspiration bed track for the music. For those who are curious, he says, the tower whistles in the key of A. So there we have it. This video is going to be absolutely ginormous. I hope it doesn't bore people to tears. But it's quite an interesting day out though. Hello love, should we scarp before it rains?
Yep, go somewhere else.
Once Anne-Marie's out of the house, she never wants to go home, do you?
It's nice to go out. In our PJs.